Hello everyone, it's Maki. Are you enjoying the GQuuuuuX story? As I write this episode, the 10th episode has not yet been released. I wonder what developments we are going to see. Will the citizens of the Principality of Xi'an finally see their dream come true, the mass-produced big sun descending to Earth and playing a major role in battle? I'm really looking forward to finding out. Today, I'd like to share something interesting from a Nikkei Entertainment article about the GUNDAM series. The other day, I shared an interview with Mr. Yoshiyuki Tomino, the creator of the GUNDAM series. This time, I'll cover content related to the Seed 00 and GQuuuuuX series. Before we dive into the main topic, I have a quick announcement. My channel accepts membership support. For just 99 cents a month, you can get a name badge and comment stamps. Alright, let's get started. First, let's watch an interview with Mr. Mitsuo Fukuda, the director of the Seed series. He discussed the themes of Seed and where the story might go in the future. First, Mr. Fukuda shared his thoughts on the 3 elements required to create a GUNDAM series. Let's take a look at what he had to say. First, it has to be a story that portrays war. Second, the GUNDAM must have 2 antennae, shaped like horns. Third, it has to be an ensemble drama. When creating Seed, I observed the issues and social conditions faced by children in the real world and chose that theme. Then, we developed the characters to match that theme. At the time, I felt that children were experiencing what could be called a category syndrome. This psychological state is characterized by a feeling of unease unless one belongs to a certain category. There's a common misconception that you can't maintain friendships unless you're part of a group. So, I wanted to question whether belonging to a category is really such a good thing. If you rewatch the Seed series with this in mind, you may notice new details. Early in the story, for example, there's a conversation between Kira and Lars. She says something like, "You're kind because that's who you are as a person, right?" Kira speaks with a sense of trouble. "I am currently a pilot of a weapon for the Earth's Federation forces, and you are the princess of the coordinators." Rather than focusing on who he is as an individual, Kira is preoccupied with categories, whether he is with the Earth's Alliance or the coordinators, an enemy or an ally. Lars' words to Kira, trapped in this mindset, seem to reflect the core theme of Seed. Later in the story, Lars speaks similarly to Athran. When Athran tries to follow his father's orders and act as a soldier, Lars suddenly addresses him as Daft Athranzar. This line is also a pivotal moment that reflects the theme of Seed, as it challenges Athran, who is not bound by his own will, but by the category of being a Zaft soldier. Now, many fans are looking forward to the story of Freedom Zero and wondering when it will be released. Unfortunately, this interview didn't include any comments about its release date. Still, Mr. Fukuda shared a somewhat vague but hopeful outlook on the future of the Seed series. If the Seed series ever truly ends, it will be when the characters' stories have clearly concluded. In that sense, Kira and Lars' story has come to an end. However, there are still some characters whose stories aren't finished. I'd like to tell those stories eventually as well. I want to create something that will live up to the fans' expectations. Fans of Freedom probably also felt that Kira and Lars' story was complete. So, which characters have unfinished stories? Among the main cast, It's likely either Aslan or Shin. Aslan has a strong, trusting relationship with Kakaoi. Even in freedom, he gave fans the impression of being a stable figure, someone you're relieved to see show up. He seems like someone who can overcome any future hardship. But what about Shin? One thing that stands out is his relationship with Luna Maria. Although they trust each other deeply, Shin still exhibits youthful immaturity, and sometimes it seems as if Luna Maria is watching over him, like an older sister. Who do you think will be the next character whose story reaches its conclusion? That may be the clue to the next chapter of the Seed series. Next is a discussion about GUNDAM 00. Let's take a look at some comments from director Seiji Mizushima. He mentioned that the Seed series strongly influenced him when directing 00. When I was chosen to direct the GUNDAM series, the theme of war was immediately set. I asked myself what kind of GUNDAM fits the current era. I interpreted the success of GUNDAM SEED as largely due to its focus on entertainment, so I decided to emphasize that aspect. The fact that they approached me, someone who had never worked at the Sunrise studio before, suggested that they were looking for something different from previous GUNDAM works. That's why I chose to highlight terrorism, not just battles between major powers, but also the interference between them as a key element. I personally reviewed every visual released in magazines and other media. I also learned the GUNPO release schedule by heart and adjusted the story to align with the excitement surrounding those release dates. It's a fascinating comment. Mr. Mizushima openly acknowledged how creators influence each other's work. The fact that he structured the story to match the GUNPO release schedule is a crucial detail. As I've mentioned before, there's a legendary moment in Japan when the frag model kits sold out in every store the day after the scene aired in which Groha Makers Union frag custom destroyed the arm of GUNDAM Slone Iron. That actually happened. For Mr. Mizushima, being a director isn't just about the story of the anime, it's also about orchestrating moments like this in the real world. That's what it means to take on the role of director. Finally, he briefly commented on the possible GUNDAM 00 sequel. I submitted a memo outlining the sequel plan 7 years ago. The GUNDAM series is something that can continue to evolve. I'm fully prepared to get things started. So, the idea for a sequel is already in place. From this point on, it's just a matter of waiting for Bandai's commercial decision. Even now, new projects related to 00 continue to be released, like the metal build of the Ice Gundam and new stories. With strong support from fans of the 00 series, the chances of a sequel are very high. Lastly, let's take a look at some comments from Ms. Tomoyo Kurosawa. She's the voice actress for Amati Yuzuriha, the protagonist of GQuuuuuX. Since the story is ongoing, she didn't share many specifics, but she did offer some interesting insights, especially regarding what makes Machu so compelling. What makes her so fascinating is the way she sometimes makes decisions that, depending on how you look at them, are downright self-destructive. She's able to make choices that would be unthinkable for adults with something to protect. In episode 7, she says, "Didn't Anki tell you to empty your head and just chase after he?" Some people might admire how she charges forward based on her beliefs or find her dazzling. I personally hope that the danger within her heart will shine through as part of her charm. While performing, I focused on the mindset of someone who acts impulsively and extremely. Now, let's hear from Mr. Kengo Kawanishi, who voiced Miko's Yuki August, the protagonist of Iron Blooded Orphans. I think most people consider a lot of things when making a decision. But Miko's Yuki's choices were limited by his harsh environment. When he found the one choice he could make, he acted on it. Even if it meant getting his hands dirty, he would protect his comrades. I think that's what makes Miko's Yuki so compelling. Machu acts on extreme decisions without hesitation, guided by her heart. Miko's Yuki acts the same way when he's left with no other choice. Their motivations may differ, but they clearly have in common the way they carry out extreme actions without hesitation. As the story of GQuuuuuX continues, we'll have to see how this aspect of Machu's character affects future events. By the time this video is released, episode 10 of GQuuuuuX will probably already be out. If you'd like, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Thanks so much for watching to the end. See you next time on the show.